Hello, this is CK7 with another commentary, this time for the non-Disney Villain Tournament, Round 5. Yeah, sorry for the delays and all. I've been pretty busy lately with school and all, and right now I'm not really doing anything. I'm just home by myself, so I figured now would be a good time to get this next commentary over with. By the way, I've realized that Ace Michele-Oface uploaded this round instead of Sonic Shadow, because Sonic Shadow can't upload videos longer than 15 minutes. So it's really nice of Ace to upload it for him. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get started. We start off with Kent Mansley versus Hollywood, which is probably, well, probably, I guess we could all say, one of the most unusual and most unique fights, and not just this series, but probably in any villain tournament, whether it's Disney versus non-Disney villains, Disney heroes versus villains, Disney villain wars, practically out of all the villains tournament, this series right here has quickly become the most mature or darkest of all the series. And this, I mean, of course, yeah, we've had fights in other rounds of this series that prove that, but this is a very unusual fight, because, yeah, like in other fights, we've had kicks and punches and slashes with swords and knives, or like in Thrax's case, he has that huge, really awesome claw of his, and many other examples. However, we've never had a fight like this before, which I wouldn't even call it a fight. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never would have imagined that you guys would get a villain like Kent Mansley, and another villain like, well, okay, Hollywood probably makes sense, but seriously, a villain like Kent Mansley, yeah, I'm glad to go with history buff. That is actually a very creepy face, now that you put it in that context. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, The Iron Giant, it was a good movie and all. I mean, it's not one of my favorite non-Disney animated films, but it was a good film. And I never really liked Kent Mansley because he was kind of a dork and a jerk and all. And I also kind of thought of him as being a pervert, and not just in this context, but in the movie he's from. But now that I watch this fight that he's in, even though it's not really a fight, I don't even know what you would call it, that, yeah, now he's just a total pervert now. And, so yeah, this was a very unusual fight, actually. But yeah, like history buff, I'm never going to look at Kent Mansley the same way again, even though I kind of thought he was a pervert in the beginning, and now that I see him like this. Anyway, as for Hollywood, like I said before, just like Tyler, Hollywood is another villain that I really dislike, because she's I don't know. I mean, the movie she's from, Cool World, is such a random and such a senseless, very, in my opinion, a very retarded film, in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of similar to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except sort of a steroid version, I guess one way to put it. I mean, it makes very little sense. It has no logic. I mean, it's no wonder it made it to the Nostalgia Critics' top 11 mind flips, even though, yeah, you know what I mean. Only he doesn't use flip, he says, you know what I mean. The thing is, I don't cuss, so I don't drop the F-bomb or anything, unlike some people do. And that's another thing, and this is going to be kind of random, I know, but, I mean, I don't cuss like I just said, but I also don't like using the term F-word, because it sounds childish and lame and just embarrassing to say it that way. So I prefer to use the term F-bomb instead. It just sounds better. But, yeah, anyway, as I was saying, the thing is, the entire movie of Cool World is just a total mind flip. There is just no logic to it. It's just a very strange film. And Holly, she's just, I don't know, like I said in my commentary in Disney vs. 90s villain, she's basically just a psychotic nymphomaniac version of Marilyn Monroe. It's my only description of her. She's just, yeah, she's just not the kind of villain that I don't know. I will say, this part actually did make me, I thought this was pretty hilarious right here. And actually creative. I mean, despite this fight was a bit, well, yeah, unusual and all, that, I don't know how to say it. But, however, at the same time, it's an interesting idea, because I guess different villains have their own methods of weaponry and all. In Holly's case, her choice of weapons is sex, I guess is one way to put it. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but at the same time, if you think about it, it does make a lot of sense, because she was able to steal Kent Mansley's documents while he was, well, yeah, you know. But at the same time, I thought this part was really hilarious, how you incorporated the hug scene from the Iron Giant right here. I'll admit, that was pretty funny. And, yeah, also, like History Buff pointed out, those scenes were those scenes were from the High School of the Dead. Which, from what he explained, it sounds like an interesting anime series. That is, with the whole high school students in Tokyo surviving from a zombie apocalypse and dealing with a bit of political issues. I mean, it sounds like an interesting story, but yeah, as he explained, it's overkill on sexuality, just like Hellsing is highly overkill on the violence and the gore. So yeah, that's why I don't get into that stuff. Alright, now we have Darkheart versus Stormilla. Not really a lot to say about this fight. Mainly because I've never seen either of these movies, because I never watched Care Bears. Although I may have seen the TV series they used to show on Disney Channel, which is funny, because it's not even Disney. So, and as for Stormilla, I've never seen the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the movie, but as History Buff explained, it was kind of a cheesy film. But so this was a very good fight, though, I'll have to say. And Darkheart, I will have to say, I mean, I will have to say this. If Darkheart did not have the cheesy lines and cheesy opponents and the fact he's not from a cheesy movie, he probably would be an awesome villain. It's like Diesel 10 from Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Now, I loved Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid growing up. And the movie, I thought it was okay. I mean, even now looking back at it, it's a little cheesy, but it's still, it had its moments. I thought it was still a good film. In fact, parts of the movie were kind of depressing and dark for a Thomas the Tank Engine film. But anyway, the villain in there, Diesel 10, he's kind of an awesome villain. I mean, if you look past the fact that some of his opponents are cheesy and that he has a few cheesy lines, he probably would be a pretty awesome villain. I mean, he is kind of awesome with that claw and all. And now we have Rasputin versus Evil Lyn. Again, another good, well-edited fight. Surprised though that Rasputin is already on Earth. I mean, I guess now, unless Evil Lyn is in Limbo or something, I don't know. Not really too much to say about this fight, other than it was really well edited. The thing is, I never watched He-Man the Masters of the Universe, so yeah, I don't know much about this character. And unlike History Buff, I kind of figured that Evil Lyn was wearing a hat and all. And now that we see her without a hat, I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, she actually doesn't look that bad looking. But like History Buff, I feel the same kind of way with Maleficent, because I've always wondered about Maleficent, are those horns, or is it just a hat she's wearing? I'm assuming it's a hat, but I just always wonder, what does she look like without the hat? Anyway, now we have General Woundwort versus Scarface. And this is another pretty interesting fight in the fact that, yeah, both these villains are similar in the fact they're both from English stories that are pretty intense and all. Like, of course, like I said, I watched Watership Down, and right now I'm reading the book, and I'm doing an English essay over anime films not really meant for children, and one of the movies I'm using is Watership Down. Which, really, if you think about it, Watership Down is one of those controversial animated films. It's like, for some reason, and I know Wikipedia is not a reliable source and all, but for some reason, Watership Down is tagged under children's films. And I still don't understand how it's a children's film. But, I guess it's controversial, because, because, yeah, it's rated PG and all, but it's still pretty violent and all, yeah, there's visions of blood flooding the valley, and there's the animals eating each other, and there's rabbits killing each other. It's a pretty intense story. The book was really good. So far, the book's really good. It's pretty similar to the movie. And the movie was also really good. But the thing is, it's just one of those controversial animated films. It's like, I don't know, but it's almost like Felidae. Well, Felidae is not controversial. It's definitely not a children's film. It's pretty graphic and all, but it's still a good story. Also, I noticed they're using scenes from the television series of Watership Down, which I've never seen the TV series. But from what I've understand is that I'm guessing it's based off of the sequel novel that Richard Adams wrote, the Tales of Watership Down, which is basically not one story, but it's a series of short stories, and I'm assuming that's what this TV series is based off of. As for the Scarface, the fox, I've never seen the show he's from. I know it's called Animals of Farthing Wood. I've never heard of it, but like History Buff explained, it's a similar plot line to Watership Down, animals need to survive and all, but it's also pretty intensive. That is the European version. The American version is edited, but yet the European version is intense and it has mild gore and all of it. Like that, for example. But I'm so glad, though, that you have Woundwort still in the series. And I don't know if I mentioned this before. I think I may have. But I still think it'd be hilarious if you could do a fight between General Woundwort and Elmer Fudd. Not to be serious, just for good laughs, you know what I mean? Because Elmer Fudd, he has some very hilarious reactions you can use for Woundwort. And I think History Buff might like that, too. I think a lot of people would. Alright, now we have Jackolantern versus Samhain. If I remember correctly, this Jackolantern dude is from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which like Courage the Cowardly Dog, I only watched a little bit of Billy and Mandy, which it never really appealed to me that much. It was just kind of weird. And like I mentioned with this character, I never watched the animated Ghostbusters. In fact, I never even seen the movies, so yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with History Buff. This guy is creepy. What is with his face? It's enough to probably give you nightmares or something, or at least enough to get out your shotgun and shoot it, turn it into some pumpkin pie. The same with the other. Well, the other dude's not creepy, but still. Not much else to say here, mainly because I'm not that familiar with these two villains. That's still creepy. Now we have Nicholas, the Spirit of the Book, and the Wizard of Wonderland versus Prince Froglip and Gnorga. Again, another fight with Care Bear villains. Like I said, I've never seen any of the Care Bear movies, so I don't know much about these villains. And, yeah, I'm gonna feel kind of silly about this too, but... Okay, that's just creepy right there. But yeah, this is one of the few times I'm actually glad that Froglip and Gnorga actually went to fight. And the thing is, with Gnorga, the Patrol in Central Park, I did watch it when I was a kid, and just like with the Care Bear movies, it's pretty much sort of a cheesy film. But, I guess what do you expect from a Don Bluth film from the 90s? Except, though, that Don Bluth, he's the same guy that did The Secret of Nim, An American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven, and The Land Before Time. And those were really good films that had depressing, dark, and at the same time, good stories. Whereas some films he did, like Thumbelina and A Tron Central Park, they're okay for a kid's film, but they're still cheesy. And others, like Rock-a-Doodle and The Pebble and the Penguin, they're still a little cheesy, but they're still good, though. But out of all the films that Don Bluth did, I think a Tron Thunder Park will have to be one of the weaker ones he did. I'm just wondering, how much longer is Froglyphic and Norga gonna be in this war? I'm surprised you haven't run out of footage of them yet. I mean, I guess they do have a good amount of footage, but yeah. Now we have Suzaku versus Lugnut and Blitzwing. This surprised me that Cobra's team are allied with the Decepticons. Or at least that's what it appears. And I'm just wondering, where is Megatron in all this? Because you would think that... I mean, what does he think about teaming up with Cobra? If that's what's happening. Also, since you are going into live-action round, are we going to see the Decepticons in their live-action form? Or at least Megatron? Because that's another thing I've realized. Just like with Star Wars, the Transformers is another series that has an animated form, a CGI form, and a live-action form, if you think about it. Because, yeah, with Star Wars, you have the Star Wars movies, you have the animated Star Wars The Clone Wars, and then you have the CGI Star Wars The Clone Wars. And the same with Transformers. You have all these animated Transformers series, you have the live-action Transformers movies, and then you have that CGI Transformers series. So they can go in pretty much in all three of those dimensions. That is if you plan on doing that. I do hope to see CGI villains eventually, because there are some pretty good CGI villains out there you can use. You could use Nigel from Rio, you can use Rattlesnake Jake from Rango, and several others. Now we have the forces of Mojo Jojo versus Caterwall and Warranty Rat. I guess after Woolworth defeated Scarface, these guys plan to attack the rival animal team. I will say this is a well-edited fight and all, but just like History Buff put it, I also was surprised that you got rid of Warren and Cat already. I mean, I'm assuming we'll see Caterwall again later, because he still has a lot of footage, but Warren, I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure he's finished. And did Jenner just, like, slice up Warren or something? Because that's a pretty gruesome way to go. That was good editing, too. And I'm surprised this. I was certain that Jenner was going to die here, but no. He survives. And I'm still surprised that Jenner and Drake are still... I mean, Pinky and the Brain, I'm positive they're going to be here for a while. But Jenner and Drake, they have very little footage, or at least Jenner does, and yet they're still in the war. I mean, that surprises me, but in a good way. Because I think they're both pretty awesome. Well, Jenner's pretty awesome. Drake, I don't care much for. That was funny. And then we have Dracula versus Luke Valentine. Which is ironic, considering the fact that in the original Hellsing show, from what I've heard, is that the main hero in the series is Dracula, or at least it's his name spelled backwards. I don't know how you pronounce it. You know, when I first saw the Valentine brothers in this series, I assumed that Jan is like the guy that we saw in the last round, is very immature and very loudmouth and all. While Luke, when I first saw him, I assumed he's like the more well-mannered and more calm one, but that is until he gets freaked out. And I'm still surprised that just like the Battle of Cobra's Mansion, this fight surprised me how well you used a villain from a children's show to fight a villain from a really graphic, a very graphic adult anime show. Well, that was unpleasant. And now we have Jeremiah Galtwood, I think is his name, versus Major Bludd. Yeah, you know what? On the forum, this originally said Major Bludd versus the Colonel from Spirit starring the Cimarron, which I was hoping that what was going to be, because the thing is, I mean, yeah, like History Buff put it, the Colonel, he's a really good villain, but also a good character. He has a lot of potential, and I would really like to see him do a fight with him, just to see how it'll work. And the funny thing is, I mean, I like the movie Spirit. I mentioned this before, but I think Spirit was a good film. And the funny thing is, a lot of people seem to not like it. And I'm like, really? I mean, I thought that it was a really good film. It had great characters, it had a great storyline, and it had great music. I mean, now that I think about it, I like Phil Collins, I like Elton John. But now Bryan Adams, the guy who does the music for Spirit, I think I like him now, because some of the music he does in the movie is great. So yeah. Besides the Colonel, though, I also want to see how you'll give Cortez a fight, because I don't know how that's going to work still, but I'm assuming you have a plan. And I'm just wondering, is that blood or is that oil? I'm just wondering. I'm assuming it's blood. So that just makes Code Geass almost as gruesome. Alright, now we have Thrax and Tyler versus Corso and Pre. You know, despite the... Whoa, that was weird. Despite the fact that I dislike Tyler a lot, I already went on my Tyler rant, this alliance with him, Mock, and Thrax, I'll have to admit, is pretty awesome. And it's also pretty funny, in my opinion, because Thrax is from the movie Osmosis Jones, which is a family-friendly film. It's appropriate for kids and all. Then you have Tyler, who's from the movie Heavy Metal 2000, which is a very graphic adult animated film. And then you have Mock, who's from the movie Rock and Roll, which is in a category of movies that I refer to as the 50-50 movies or the in-betweeners. In other words, it's a category of films that they're not mature films. They're not on the same level as films like Heavy Metal 2000. But, at the same time, they're not kid films. They're not kiddie children films. Basically, I mean, it's one of those really controversial type animated films. You know, kind of like Watership Down. Watership Down, Rock and Rule, Fire and Ice, Wizards, and a couple other films like that. Those are all, what I call the in-betweeners, because they're not really mature films. They're films meant for, like, teenagers or a mature audience, an audience that can understand the concept of the story. So yeah, I just found that interesting. Also, I'm glad to see Corso and Preed, because, like I said in my commentary for Disney vs. Non-Disney villains, Titan AE, I thought, was a great movie. It was a really good movie. And yet, a lot of people, and just like with Spirit, a lot of people thought it was not that it wasn't a great film. And I'm like, really? I mean, in fact, this movie failed at the box office, and I think it was the reason why, I don't know if it was Fox or if it was Don Bluth who shut down his company, because they went through so much money to make this film. I mean, I thought it was a good film. It had a great story, it had great characters, it had a great animation. So yeah, I just don't see why people dislike it. I mean, because, yeah, I mean, one of the characters, he's voiced by Nathan Lane, who's better known for doing the voice of Timon. So yeah. I still don't get it. I mean, what is... And the funny thing is, when you look on YouTube or Amazon.com and look at their reviews for this film, I see a lot of good reviews. It's like as if when a movie first came out in theaters, people think it sucks. But then when you wait like another decade or so, you go back and look at reviews and people are like, wow, this is a good movie. How come people dislike it? So yeah. You know, the thing about Corso is that he was really a redeemed, reformed villain, so I'm surprised he's in this series, but he's kind of awesome. Yeah, that's one way to go down. And, hold on. Yeah, why do I keep... Whoops, sorry. Sorry about that, my mouse is acting up a little. But wait, there was something I noticed in this fight. Yeah, that scene. Again, okay, that scene was only half a second, but I noticed that gunshot is from Wizards. Like I said in my Disney Heroes vs. Villains, I can recognize a clip from a movie when I see it. But that reminds me, speaking of Wizards, are we going to see Black Wolf eventually in this series? Because I know I stated before that he wasn't that great of a villain, but I think it'd be neat if he had some kind of plot line going on in this series, because, yeah. Even though I didn't really care that much for the film. Another thing that surprised me is, what is Leia doing in this? I mean, I'm guessing Thrax is using her to blackmail or something? And another thing, are we going to see the Dredge eventually in the series? Because since you're using Corso and Preed, I'm assuming we might see the Dredge eventually. But yeah, I still don't understand why people think Titan AE is a horrible movie. I thought it was great. And then we have the final fight, Robotnik versus Shredder. Not really a lot to say about this fight, other than it was well edited. Yeah, seriously, was he really holding a robotic chicken? Robot chicken, I guess that's how we got the show. But yeah, like History Buff, I did not watch Sonic or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, so I don't really know much about what's going on here. But this was still a good fight. It's one of those all-out battles, and I like those. In fact, I think a lot of people like those all-out battles, because there's so much going on and all that. Just like with the round 13 in Disney vs. Non-Villains, although that was a real all-out battle. And I just wonder, what would the all-out battle be like for this series? Did he seriously just turn that dog into a motorcycle? That is just really weird. Whatever. And of course, Shredder's just sulking. I'm guessing the 80s Shredder is not as, I guess as awesome or whatever as the 2003 Shredder, but I don't know, I guess it's everyone's opinion. Because to me, the 2003 Shredder doesn't really seem to have that much sense of humor. Unlike the 80s Shredder. And this part also surprised me. The Shredder merging into the live-action round. Because I, too, thought that Mock was going to be doing the whole... Mock was going to do the whole live-action dimensional travel thing. But no. Looks like Shredder beat him to it. And the thing is, I've never even seen the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah, this is going to get interesting. And now we have the Epilogue. Where we have these guys. I saw Jack Spicer, and there's Aku, great to see him, and Draco. Only some of these guys I know. Because I notice you're using like a lot of WB shows or Cartoon Network shows. And Lelouch gets on to Mansley for screwing up. Losing the documents. Let this be a lesson to you, Mansley. Never make out with a psychopath. And we have Dracula and Moriarty teaming up. I think it would be neat if Moriarty goes into live-action realm. Use the Moriarty from the second Sherlock Holmes movie. And of course, we got more Digimon. And of course, we have Cobra's team, I think. I still find that weird that the 2003 Shredder is in this realm, while the 80s one is in the live-action realm. That's kind of funny. And Tyler has been held captured by Corso and Preed, which is only part of their plan to know what their scheme is. And this also surprised me, that Corso and Preed are allied with this guy, Valgax, I think is his name, the villain from Ben 10. Which I also, the thing is, I never really watched Ben 10. My little brother sometimes watches it. Here's the thing here's the thing with modern TV shows. They just can't seem to make good modern television shows anymore. Now, I'm not saying Ben 10 is bad. I mean, it seems like an interesting show. I only watched a couple episodes. It seems pretty interesting. I'm not saying it's bad. It just didn't really appeal to me that much. But the thing is, our generation of kids nowadays are practically missing out on the good classic TV shows that we all grew up with. You know, whether it's on Disney Channel, we watched Gargoyles, American Jack, Jake Long, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, Mighty Ducks, Timon and Pumbaa, the Aladdin series, Little Mermaid series, Bonkers, a bunch of other shows like that. And that's the same with other TV shows, like Cartoon Network. When I grew up with Cartoon Network, even though I didn't watch a lot of it, I remember it was the show that had Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry. But nowadays, I mean, they still show them on Cartoon Network, but not exactly as often as they used to. That's why they made Boomerang. Boomerang seems to be the only channel that shows good classic TV shows, such as Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, the Hanna-Barbera shows, and all kinds of stuff like that. That's good classic TV shows. And I just wish they would do the same with Disney. That they should think about making a channel that would show the old classic Disney shows that we all grew up with. That way our generation would not get to miss out on these that we grew up with. And if they watch them, they will get a good idea how good shows were back then, instead of TV shows they watch nowadays. Like, for example, Adventure Time. I do not see the point of Adventure Time. I mean, I don't know if any of you people out there are Adventure Time fans or not, but to me, I don't see the point. Just like Cool World, it's like no logic, it makes no sense, it's just odd. I mean, I don't know, I don't see the point of it. And the same deal with Regular Show. I mean, Regular Show, I guess, is a little better than Adventure Time, but I don't know, I still don't like it that much. And another TV show I didn't watch that often, but I did see quite a few episodes enough to like it. It's the Peanuts game, the Charlie Brown series. I may have posted a thread of it on the forum, but it's weird is that my little brother doesn't like Charlie Brown. I mean, how do you not like Charlie Brown? It's Charlie Brown! It's the classic Peanuts game. They were based on the comic strip. I mean, when it comes to cartoons, you can't get any more classical than the Peanuts gang. I mean, you probably could, but you know what I mean. Because, I mean, how does he not like that? I mean, that's the problem with TV shows nowadays. They're so hooked into these new TV shows that they're missing out on what a true, classic, meaningful TV show is like. Like, for example, we all know about A Charlie Brown Christmas. I mean, who has not seen A Charlie Brown Christmas at least once in their life? That's the very first Charlie Brown show, and it has a meaningful story to it about what Christmas is about. It's about the birth of Jesus Christ and all that. And also, it's about spending time with friends and family and all that. It has a meaning to it. And the same deal with another... okay, I may have mentioned this before on the forum, but of all the Charlie Brown episodes I've seen, the most depressing and saddest and biggest tearjerker of them all has got to be the episode titled Why Charlie Brown Why? It's basically about... it focuses on Linus, you know, the kid with the blanket, and he's friends with this girl who, apparently, from what I'm seeing from the show, he seems to have feelings for, and what's bad is that she begins to develop cancer, leukemia, in the show. Basically, that's what this episode is about. It's about cancer and all that. And throughout the course of this episode, Linus is so depressed and all that, and so worried that the girl that he's starting to fall for may not make it because of leukemia. Now, it does have a happy ending. Don't get me wrong, it had a happy ending. She does survive, but still, just watching it is just enough to have tears run down your cheeks. I mean, I thought I was about to be in that state when I was watching this. There's even a song they play in the middle of the episode that I thought was pretty sad. So yeah, that was a bit out of the topic. I'm sorry, but I just felt like I had to go over that. Anyway, back to this epilogue. Also, are we going to see the live-action version of Cobra? Because I know they made a live-action G.I. Joe. I've never seen it, but yeah. And Necron and the Snow Queen uprise their empire. Like I said, I'm still surprised Necron's actually married, but you have plans for them from what you said, and I can't wait to see what that means. And Hexus and Messina send Rasputin to the live-action realm, which that surprised me. How is it that the spirit of destruction, chaos, has the ability to send people to other dimensions? Oh, well, I'm not complaining, though. And that surprised me that... I mean, I never watched Hellboy, but I did not know there was a live-action Rasputin in there. But from what I hear, is that it's pretty different from the Rasputin from Anastasia. So yeah, this is my commentary on the Round 5 of the non-Disney villain tournament. And holy cow, I went through 35 minutes in this commentary. Wow. I guess my commentators are starting to get to be as long as history buffs. But I hope I didn't bore any of y'all. I'm trying to make these commentaries as fascinating and interesting as possible. But yeah, I will... I'll try to upload the next commentary as soon as I can. So yeah, this is CK Promise 7, and have a nice day.